Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. I think we're live. Yes, we are. Okay, cool. Let's see. We got 10 people in the chat right now. Well, hello there. Hello, Nathan. Hello, Jason. Welcome, everybody. Wow, there's only 7 people right now. Actually, I will edit this and then notify people so they know it's live. All right, everyone, I'm just editing the post just to update people. Hello, Lauren. Lauren Taco. Is that also, are you Lauren Ten Eyck? Hello, Travel to Walk. Welcome. Jason says, really enjoyed the episode. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping to talk a bit about that, answer some questions people might have. Obviously, it just dropped yesterday, so let's see. Let's see. Sorry, everyone. I'm still preparing a few things. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really think of anything to say today. I thought at some point I would show like these nunchucks that I got for Christmas, which are pretty cool. There's already a video of me using these on my Instagram, but I guess it's kind of funny because like I feel like I have not done a live stream in a long time, even though I've been on the commentary live streams. But it's like those I'm usually just focused on watching the episode. So it's kind of nice to be back and talking with everybody. Good memory and nailed the pronunciation of my last name. Good on you. That's good to know because that's how we've been saying it for a long time. At least in our shoutouts. I feel like, yeah, you've definitely been in some of our shoutouts, right? Kevin Masuda is here. Just put my hair up. Oh, whoops, Andrew is live. Okay, I won't change it for you, but hello, Kitty, welcome, 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 Sanwar1, hello. Yeah, so our episode came out yesterday. It was at Zaleski, as many of you know now. My legs did get a workout on this trip. Yeah, it felt like I was doing constant bench presses. Sorry, let me look something up. But yeah, it was a good trip. It was like, I feel like my backpack was maybe a little bit heavier than usual, just because of all the winter gear and extra clothes and stuff. But yeah, the uphills were like, so we did a part of the loop of Zaleski that we hadn't done before. And yeah, I think before we did the South Loop, and then we did the North Loop this time, or at least part of it. And I remember watching a video on YouTube. It might have been like Bryce Newbold or someone. But someone also did the North Loop, and basically they were saying that like it was super rough. And they went in the summer, so it was probably like way worse. But as some of you saw, that one section, like before we get to the road, towards the middle of the second day, it's just like constant trying to navigate around streams and through the forest and stuff like that. Jackson says, hello from Kentucky, brand new patron, but longtime viewer. Welcome, welcome. Sanwar says, I went to Big Bend National Park over Christmas break. You guys have to visit Thomas and do an episode there. It is stunning. Yeah, actually, that's something we've kind of been talking about. And he's been pushing for putting together some sort of a trip to Texas. It's kind of a bummer because it's like, if we do go to Texas, it's going to have to be, I don't know, just way different than how we would normally travel. We'd probably have to just like stay at his place most of the time and order takeout if we wanted to. Although if we're not like going out to eat, I guess it just would make sense to like cook stuff at his place. Yeah, let me see what his plans were for that trip really quick. So he wanted to try and do something late February, and yeah, he was thinking of doing Big Bend, and it looks like, so his plan was to do a full episode, and then after that to break into 2 groups and do 2 separate like side videos. And then there's also something that's kind of a little hush-hush right now. But I think he met someone who works at a privately owned park that has like a lot of petroglyphs on rocks and stuff. And there's like a possibility they'd be able to give us a private tour, which would be super cool. But I don't know how like concrete or set that is, no pun intended. Yeah, it kind of stinks though, because San Antonio is such a cool city based on like what little of it I saw when I helped Thomas move there. Well, I say help, but I just like gave moral support. But it's such a cool city, and I feel like it would be really dangerous to actually like explore a bunch of it. At least like as early as February. Sanwar says, I went to Big Bend. Oh, that's the same comment. Jackson Coop, hello. Kevin said, I ran into some snow and down trees yesterday. Can confirm it just turns into a big slog at some point. Sanwar says, I think Sanwar 2 will be retired for good. Sanwar 1 is... Wait, what is the difference between Sanwar 2 and Sanwar 1? Because I feel like I've only ever noticed Sanwar 1. But Travel to Walk says, the chain cells do a good job currently about cleaning and are careful with masks. That's good to know. Yeah, I guess if you're not like actively in a room with someone, you could just like crack open the windows and get fresh air in there and it'd probably be fine. I feel like I haven't actually seen or gotten a full tour of Thomas's apartment, but I feel like he's got some big windows and like a nice balcony. So. Anyway, are there any questions about the episode? I feel like, I don't know, I should have thought of stuff to actually specifically say about it. In the meantime, I'm actually going to grab water because I feel like my mouth gets super dry. Let's see. It's Kitty Cosplay says you should come to Starved Rock this winter to see the frozen waterfalls. Where's that at? Chicago, Illinois. It actually would be really cool. It looks a lot like Hocking Hills. Actually, it looks really cool. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of Hocking Hills in Ohio because they've got a lot of similar sandstone structures, and the waterfalls do get frozen in the winter too, if you're lucky. Sanwar 1 says, I thought I was shadow banned from YouTube, so I created Sanwar 2. Turns out my VPN was a culprit. Gotcha. Bag of Bones says, where homeboy at? Do you mean Bryan and Robby? And Thomas? Jason says, Bryan is really impressing with his trail meals. The Yakadome looked good. Yeah, that was awesome. I was actually like surprised he wanted to make something that complicated on the trail. And I was a little like worried at first because the frozen chicken breast just seemed like it would be really hard to cook, but it ended up turning out really good. It's an hour and a half from Chicago. Gotcha. Sanor says, regarding Zaleski, why did Thomas leave after one day? So he actually had to leave because of work. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get the Monday off. So then Bryan ended up just being kind of exhausted because, I mean, that hike on the second day was really, really rough. And after that, we still had like 2 miles to hike. So Bryan just ended up deciding to go home. But yeah, it's kind of a shame because I feel like in the past when we've done split trips where like someone is only there for like one night, usually it's the second night that they're there. So we end the trip all together, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out this time. But it was kind of fun. It was like, I don't know, the last night kind of felt like the Shawnee episode when it was just me and Robby. One, just because like the weather was kind of similar, but it's kind of fun because one, at that point, we were kind of done filming a lot of stuff. But two, it's just like with two people, there's less variables to account for. So you can kind of get in a good like hiking flow and filming flow. So yeah. Travel to Walk says Bryan went home because of your food crimes. Oh, he went home because of our food crimes. Yeah. Well, this time I feel like I didn't. Oh, well, no, yeah. I had the tortillas and the pepperoni. I guess that was my food crime this time. It's funny because when I was buying those, like I love those dumb, like little fluffy wheat tortillas. But when I was shopping for them, I thought in my head, this is like just as bad as what Robby did on his quarantine episode. The Corradillas, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Why did we re-upload the episode without the part where you were talking about hipsters and yuppies? So Thomas thought that part was kind of boring or not fun to watch, and then, but Robby also got like paranoid. Well, actually, it started with Robby being paranoid that like someone would get offended by it, and then Thomas, he asked for our feedback, and Thomas thought it was just like extraneous and wasn't that funny. So, and there were a few other changes we made, like we had to blow some stuff that we forgot to, which is fine for the Patreon cut, but like we wouldn't want that on our public release. But yeah, I don't know, the hipsters and like I don't think it's a big deal, but we have gotten like the reason like Robby is paranoid is because we've gotten really weird irrational comments in the past. So when we premiered the Dolly Sods episode, a lot of you were there, but there was like people making really weird constant comments about how the dog should not be on a leash, which is like the opposite of what I would expect most people to say. And then in the Hawaii episode, I was drinking like a IPA, and I joked that like IPAs are trash or something, and then someone got offended about that, and like I don't know, it was weird, and I was like, look, you don't need to like listen to me. I have bad taste. The kind of beer I like to drink is like the most watery, like light beer ever. So I don't know why anyone takes what I say seriously. Kevin says, anyone have trouble staying dry with the snow overnight? Not so much staying dry, but our gear did get wet, and that's why on the second we ended up not using our rain flies, which was a gamble, but like the forecast said that the weather was going to be fine. But it's just like, oh yeah, our rain flies were super moist, and like it almost felt like it would have made it way more wet and cold inside the tent if we put them on. Sharon says, what made the one section so tough? Was it steepness, just dodging mud / flooded things, or what? So the steepness is why we were exhausted to begin with when we got to that section. But that section was actually relatively flat. But it's just there were like constant stream crossings. And especially when it's like cold, you want to make sure your feet stay dry. Like the trail would like cross a stream and then cross right back over. And there were also sections where it was just really shrubby, like lots of like thick brush that we kind of had to walk through. A lot of fallen logs and trees that we had to climb over. But also sometimes the trail, it was just like hard to find. Like sometimes we would go off trail for a bit. But I feel like the main thing is it was just like a lot of obstacles to consider, and you constantly had to be like navigating your way around. And then it also just like lasted a while because of that. So people have been making fun of hipsters and yuppies for decades. Yeah, it's funny because people have been calling us hipsters as well. Like I remember way back when we first were starting the channel, we edited together like 3 trailers to release on Reddit. And I remember I posted one on like a bushcraft forum or a subreddit, and I remember someone commenting, "It looks like a bunch of hipsters in the woods," which is not inaccurate, but it's just kind of funny. Sanwar says, "Do you guys talk about how to jazz up the filming in cases like Zaleski where the scenery might not be as stunning?" Yeah, that's a good question. It was actually kind of tough in this episode because we actually had like a decent amount to hike, and especially in the winter, like you have less time to hike while there's still daylight. So a lot of the filming involved using the Steadicam. So it actually, like, I don't know, having an actual gimbal to make it smooth and then having the camera that does really good slow-mo helps. But it's kind of funny because we had less time to think of like really thought out tripod shots. But I will say in the past, like maybe less so in this episode, but like in our Hoosier winter episode, we were thinking of how to film things a little more interestingly. So the sections in that episode where you're like, where you see us cooking food or packing up gear, I feel like those are really well done. But yeah, I don't know. With this trip, it's just like, I feel like we were kind of tired and we were trying to make a lot of distance. So we maybe didn't give it as much thought, but we also, I feel like, get into enough of a groove where we can make an episode pretty solid, even without like thinking too hard about it at this point. All while Robby has called himself a hipster, I think the biggest hipster of the group is Andrew. That's probably true. Sal Delicio says, "Evening, y'all. Can't stay long, but wanted to check in with the stream fam. Hope everyone's doing well." Welcome, Sal. Thank you for joining. New episode was fantastic. Went to Zaleski this year too. That place is great. Yeah, it was great to be back. I still stand by my idea that like it's best to hike Ohio in the winter and fall or early spring. Like that one section we were talking about, I feel like would be cool in the summer. Kimmy says, how do you say that? Kimmy Shepaniak? Shepaniak. "I think your comments were great. We got a good laugh out of the hipster and yuppie comments." Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was funny. I think it'll at least be in the bloopers. So Lorenzo says, "I'm just hovering and listening while I cook dinner." Nathan says, "Anyone ever try dehydrated refried beans while backpacking? It has quickly become my favorite trail food." So actually, it's funny you say that. I think in the Grayson Highlands episode, we did have some refried beans. I forget if they were dehydrated to begin with or not, but it was like some sort of spicy bean dip, basically. But we ate it with tortillas, and it was really good. Let's see. Trail bean quesadillas, just add cheddar cheese. Y'all were hipsters before it was cool. You know, funny thing about that is I really liked lo-fi hip hop music before it became popular because of the playlist on YouTube. But I feel like if I just say that, that's like such an indictment of myself. Lindsay Robinson, hello, welcome. Nathan says, "I've been craving it all day, so I just ate some for dinner." I did just cook some lentils, which I feel like is similar in texture. Sharon says, "Yes, we used that when we took my dad on his first backpacking trip, made a great veg mix." It is funny because the whole reason we do like elaborate meals on Adventure Archives is to show that like you don't just have to eat like gorp or oatmeal or whatever. But now it's like, and I mean, this was probably the case back then too, but now there's so many different brands that make like really amazing different trail meals that it's like you can still have a really good variety of food. I guess the other thing is, though, we also wanted to show that you could make meals that were not as expensive relatively. Just because I feel like sometimes those do end up costing a good amount, but you know, it's especially nowadays when we're sharing food with each other a lot less, it's really nice and convenient. Jackson says, "Of all the places you have hiked in Ohio, which has been your favorite? Looking for other places nearby other than Red River Gorge." You know, I mean, it's hard to say because the weather does influence this sometimes. I do have really fond memories of our Shawnee, Shawnee State Forest episode. I mean, Zaleski was really fun the first time around, from what I remember. So I would say Wildcat was really rough, but again, this might be different when it's in the wintertime. But yeah, Zaleski, South Loop was good. Shawnee was good. And these are for backpacking. If you're looking for just like day hikes, Hocking Hills is great. Mohican is actually, I was just at Mohican State Park a few weeks back with a friend, and it'd been a long time since I was there, but like the trails there are actually really cool. Chris Imsdale, welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the episode. Let's see. Have we planned our next trip already? If so, can you talk about it yet? Unfortunately, we have not planned our trip. Yeah, I don't know. Well, the Texas stuff is like the most that we've talked about already, but we haven't really planned anything concrete beyond that. I don't know if we're going to do something in January though, but if we do, it'll probably be someplace close by. Kevin says, saying you were into the hip new trend before it was cool is quintessentially hipster. That is true. Are hipsters even a thing anymore? Because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like hipsters like started out as a thing, and then hipster fashion and aesthetic just became kind of like mainstream for a while, and now I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's not a thing anymore. Boone Krieger, sorry I'm late. It's okay. You don't. You are totally allowed to be as late as you want to these streams. But welcome, Chris Imsdale. Oops, these monitors keep turning on. Chris Imsdale says y'all should really try to do Isle Royale down the road. Yeah, that's actually a place we've been wanting to do since like forever. I think, I don't know, for whatever reason we haven't gotten around to doing that yet. Murray Fisher says, also late was watching the 1994 Stargate movie. Nice. I think Thomas's mom has written a Stargate fan fiction, or it might have been Battlestar Galactica or something, but Thomas's mom is published in that. Kevin says, who knows what the kids are into now? That's a good point. Boone says, any Ozark trips in your future? Again, nothing concretely planned, but that is definitely something that would be really cool to do. That's something that like we've been thinking about for years at this point. Yeah, I guess like wintertime would be a good time to do that too, I'm assuming. Anywhere in the South, I feel like I wouldn't want to go into the summertime necessarily. Oh, what about the behind the adventures, a la behind the music, or lesser but also greater behind the laughter? So it's funny because way early on in our channel, we did do a few like behind the scenes stuff where we show ourselves playing some music. And we've also been for a while wanting to do a documentary style episode about the creation of Adventure Archives. And we were especially thinking of doing that during the quarantine, but we just kind of like never got around to it. We started compiling some footage and stuff, but eventually we were just like, hey, let's just actually film an episode, and that kind of took over. I don't know. One of these days we'll get around to that. I don't know what the catalyst for that will be, but it is something I've been wanting to do for a while. Jason says, Andrew, are you feeling like your songwriting is evolving the way you'd like? The music was on point again. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of the songs I wrote were some of the like less prominent songs in this episode, but I don't know. I feel like it's evolving. I think the main thing is like I just learn about different instruments and the way they sound, and how I can use those sounds in certain ways. I do feel like sometimes I get a little lazy with songwriting because like it's nice to have a song with like, you know, 2 different verses and a bridge and stuff and like all this variety, but sometimes I just try to like put different melodies over the same bass because it's easy to just like loop stuff when I'm writing songs. And it kind of works for the episode. So I don't know, it depends. I feel like sometimes I'm just trying to like put music out because we need music in a scene, and it doesn't really matter that it's like the greatest song I've written. But other times it's really fun to like have a really inspired moment and write something. Like the Grayson Highlands theme song, I feel like was a big one. anytime I am tasked with like writing a melody for the episode, especially when it's like we usually do that for episodes that are a little more like exciting and like grandiose. So like Pictured Rocks was one of those, Mount Whitney. But I feel like that's really fun, and that's kind of where I excel, is coming up with like a catchy melody. Let's see. Hello, Boone Krieger. Great fungi, which someone recently commented is pronounced fungi. So I think I pronounced it that way in my narration this time around. But it's funny, when I was a kid, my mom always told me it was pronounced fungi, because like I feel like the common understanding is that it's pronounced fungi, but yeah, that's not true. I guess while I'm waiting for more comments to come in, I can show some of the things from my other passions. Actually, no, before that, let me show you this. So this is my latest little Christmas gift. And this was in exchange for doing a video for free, but this is a Mora Garberg knife. And so anyone who is like into outdoorsy stuff and bushcraft knows that Mora is like a really solid brand that a lot of like outdoorsy people use. And the reason Mora is such a popular brand is, one, like a lot of their knives are cheap, like dirt cheap. You can get a good knife for like 10 to 15 bucks. But they're also incredibly reliable. But this knife is like, I looked it up and it's like $100 or close to $100. So this actually, besides my Vertus knife, so besides this knife, which was sent to me by the creator of Vertus Knives, this might be one of my more expensive knives, or most expensive knives. But it's got this nice like black carbon coating on the blade. And it's full tang, which means that the blade runs all the way through the handle. It's like a single solid piece of metal. But the really nice thing is that the back edge of this is like super sharp. Like it's a nice, perfect 90-degree angle, which means I can actually strike ferro rods with it. So I won't have to like use the edge of the knife anymore. Although I do kind of need to like find my other ferro rod, because the one I've been using is all uneven and rough now. Nathan Loper says, every time I got to the park, I end up finding some fungi and then, or fungi, I guess, and getting excited to go check it out. Then I remember I still can't identify any of them. I mean, it's still kind of exciting to like look at them. I mean, my suggestion is just like, if you see mushrooms that look really interesting, take pictures and then ask people on the internet what they are. But I love looking for mushrooms. I actually haven't done it in a while. Like I need to start going to the park more often, especially in the springtime. But mushroom hunting is super fun because it's just like a giant adult Easter egg hunt. John Geiger says, sweet, I have that same knife, really like it. Yeah, I'm super excited to try it. I feel like once I use it, a lot of this coating on the blade is going to wear off, but I don't know. What can you do? Carmen Chan says, hi, I really like to watch Andrew cook. It brings so much joy and laughter. Thank you, thank you. That's good to know. Yeah, the others are not always fans of my cooking. I mean, sometimes they like the end result as much as they might not always admit it. But I think the main thing is just like, sometimes they get impatient waiting for the thing to cook. Yeah, it is a really cool knife. It is super sharp as well. Let me see if I can demonstrate. Let's see. So like one of the common tests with knife sharpness is to cut paper, which I know sounds kind of counterintuitive at first, like because paper you think would be easy to cut, but it's really hard to cut it if you're just like holding it up like this. unless your knife is sharp. But the other thing is to see if you can shave your hair. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to even show this on camera, but see if I can get some lighting. So like, it's not working. So you can kind of shave your hair and stuff. I don't know how well you can see that, but yeah. These knives always come shaving sharp. Rubinasso says, are you guys sponsored or maybe trying to reach out to any, like Columbia or REI or something? We actually are not. So we've done some videos that were through like the National Park Foundation that REI and Columbia actually both sponsored. And then we've had some companies send us gear for free, which is always super nice, in exchange for us like wearing it and stuff. But yeah, we're not actually like actively seeking sponsorship at this point. I think we're happy with where the Patreon and the revenue that we're bringing in is. And I think it would just like complicate things to become a sponsor of a particular company or anything. So yeah, I don't know. We're like open to it. I feel like we get sent a lot of emails about it, but we sometimes are really bad about like responding to them. So yeah, I don't know. I think like what we value above anything else is just to be able to do our own thing without anyone telling us how to do it. And like having a sponsor probably wouldn't be that bad, but it's just not something that we're also like super dying to do either. Kevin said, what do you think would be on your hiking calendar this year if you didn't have to think about filming? So that's a great question, actually. I mean, this actually might be something on my calendar either way, but I feel like I would love to go back to Grayson Highlands. That place is just like so awesome, and I kind of do want to go back there. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I want to take like new people who haven't hiked to that place, but I also don't necessarily want to film with new people. So that's kind of like where that answer is. But yeah, as for other things, I mean, doing something like the John Muir Trail would be really cool. Although I feel like, again, that could be something we film. Just like we'd have to think about how we're filming it and doing it in a different way, or maybe doing it in two parts. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably just like do some more casual backpacking trips, or actually one thing I might do is rather than like doing full on hiking is go backpacking, but just like stay at a campsite for more than one night. Because that is not necessarily something interesting to show on camera, just staying at the campsite. But I've always been someone who liked the idea of camping out several nights more than I was into the idea of like hiking several miles. Like being out in the wilderness for longer is what really makes me excited. So like being able to set up a camp and like just stay in one spot and really make it your campsite. That sounds super fun to me. Brian's last meal was on point, made me so hungry. Yeah, that was good. John says Brian's mustache was also on point. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to someone about that, and they said the fans would freak out about that. Yeah, I actually think the mustache looks really good. Speaking of mushrooms, morels will be here before you know it. That's true, yeah. It's right at the end of January almost. Yeah, it's weird. I feel like time these days just passes pretty quickly, but I'm really looking forward to spring again. Especially, I don't know, it's like, one, I think it'll help with the pandemic situation, but two, it'll just be nice to like be able to go outside and be warm and feel the life coming back. Rubinasso says, awesome, keep it organic. Carmen says, maybe fun to try okonomiyaki, Japanese savory pancake during the thing. You know, actually, yeah. My mom was telling me we should do that, and I was planning on it at some point, but we haven't gotten around to it. because I love making those sorts of things. I've made like pseudo Korean pancakes in the past, not while camping, but just like at home. I would also like to make some Chinese scallion pancakes, which we've done like flatbreads and stuff. I don't know if we've ever done scallion pancakes though. But one thing that would be really cool is to harvest wild leeks and then do a scallion pancake that way with wild greens and stuff. One thing I need to figure out is like a good way to transport oil. I guess it makes sense to just like put it in a small bottle or something, but oil, I feel like, is always the missing ingredient. I guess I could use butter too, though. And yeah, Robby used to do like clarified butter in a can, so that could also work. Which, going off topic really quick, so yeah, Robby used to make ghee, which is like clarified butter. And I've been watching this Mongolian channel called Artgur a lot, and that's actually one of their like staples, is to use ghee in their cooking. And actually, this is one thing that I really want to do at some point when it's safe to travel internationally again. But I actually really want to collaborate that channel. So it's called Artgur. I'll type it in the chat. But yeah, that place, or that channel, is awesome. Ooh, with mushrooms on top, that'd be cool. Sorry, getting distracted, but Grayson Highlands is my favorite episode of yours. I'd love to see you return. Yeah, that's definitely one of my top 3 episodes, probably. I think part of it, I mean, obviously it's an amazing place, but also like the fact that it was a 3-night trip, I feel like makes it feel like a real adventure. And each campsite feels kind of different. Travel to Walk says, you'll have to plan a lot of time based on how often you stop to film on the John Muir Trail. There are so many viewpoints. Yeah, that's what would be hard, is it would actually be hard to not film too much. Like, I think there's no way we would do it in just a single episode. We'd probably have to at least split it into 2. And it's like, it's funny because it would actually be kind of nice to not have to film that much, but every time we see something cool, it's like, it's so hard to get ourselves not to film. And we're so used to filming at the pace of like just doing a weekend trip that it would be kind of hard. But I don't know, we could probably pull that out. One thing I would also like to do is another road trip eventually. For some reason, I feel like the road trip episodes are really fun to go back to and watch through. And it's like, it's not even the big locations we go to that I enjoy. It's just like the random little stops that we stop at in between that I really love watching. But I would love to do another road trip episode and just like really capture the feeling of adventure. But again, that's going to have to wait till, people are vaccinated and things are a little more back to normal. What do you do if you ran into a metal monolith? Yeah, I don't know what I would do if I saw a monolith. That was really funny. I think I would probably, I don't know. I still need to watch like Space Odyssey. But I know they like throw a bone into the air or something. John Muir Trail video from A would be awesome. I think you and Robby could totally pull it off. Thomas and Bryan may not work with their work schedule. That's true, yeah. Although Thomas would probably really want to do it. I feel like he's been wanting to do that for a while. Anna Tang says, save old spice jars. I use that for transporting oil. That's a great idea, actually. Actually, I have some of those, yeah. You can just buy lard or bacon grease. It will solidify. Speaking of which, I would also like to make pemmican someday, which is like lard and berries and meat all mixed together. I used culture tube, medical tube, to carry oil for cooking. Interesting. Like a test tube type thing, Chris? Steve says 5 parts. So yeah, it would probably have to be. Well, the other thing with that is how we would offload footage. Does the JMT go through any towns the way like the Appalachian Trail does? Travel to Walk says, read JMT. It took so many pictures that I had to spit writing up a trip report into 5 parts. Gotcha. Technically, we were on the John Muir Trail, just at Big South Fork, just not the famous one. Any goals for national parks this year? Maybe Grand Canyon or Redwoods or something? Nothing really. It's a bit complicated. So this is between you and me as the Patreon audience, but sometimes filming in national parks is a little iffy because like a lot of them want commercial permits, and so I don't know. I think we're at a point where like we actually are fine getting a commercial permit, but there's certain parks like parks like Grand Canyon or Yellowstone or Yosemite are just like so prohibitively expensive. If we had to pay for a permit to film in Yosemite, it would be like at least $300 to $1,000 like a day to film, which is just like, what's the point at that point? You know, I mean, there's still a point, but it's just not like cost effective. And it makes sense if you're doing like a big Hollywood movie, but if you're just like a couple dudes with a tripod who put stuff on YouTube, it doesn't quite make sense. Nathan says, any plans for Nicole to be in future episodes? Nothing concrete. And actually, I don't know, because she's also a healthcare worker, so I don't know if I don't think we've been intentionally avoiding her necessarily, like any more than anyone else. But I assume she's just like super busy, and we've just been trying to like keep it to ourselves since it's the pandemic. It's just like so easy to get careless when you're camping. They have little individual packets of oil. Okay, that's good to know. I've seen stuff like that in like prepackaged stuff, but let's see. Nathan says, I plan on hiking to JMT this July/August. It will be my first week plus long trip. That sounds awesome. I don't know if I've been. Yeah, this is actually kind of crazy, but I've never been on a week or longer like backpacking trip. I've been on trips, like camping trips that were that long, and like where we were camping every night, but never on an actual backpacking trip that long. And it's funny because it's like, this is what I do for a living now, but I am so busy with a lot of different things that like I haven't, I don't know, I've just never like planned out a trip like that. That is definitely something I'd love to do one day though, just be out in the wilderness for a week. Jason says, are you ever worried that you'll get missing 411s? I mean, not really. Like, we've definitely had a lot of comments about that on our videos. I don't really follow the whole missing 411 thing. I do feel like, I mean, anytime you're in the wilderness, it's easy to worry about anything happening, whether it's like, you know, weird people who might kidnap you, or whether it's like animals stalking you and trying to eat you or whatever. And especially at night, it's like, yeah, sometimes a lot of that paranoia comes to life. But I do feel like in a lot of ways, people are much safer in the wilderness than we might assume. That being said, I've also heard stories that there's actually like a fair amount of crime on the Appalachian Trail just because it is like such a often hiked trail. I'd be curious to see like where that happens and if it's in sections that are closer to towns or something. I don't know. I just feel like most of the time when I meet people on the trail, they're usually really friendly, or at the very least, you know, don't want to be bothered any more than you do. But yeah, I don't know. I'd actually be curious to learn more about the missing 411 stuff, because I don't really know like what the main theory is. If it's like, if there's an idea that there's something more to it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I think if I were hiking alone, it might be a different story. Like I might feel a little more wary of my surroundings and stuff. And it's a lot easier to like feel like you're really out there and, you know, something, I don't know, like you're really vulnerable when you're alone. Sanwar says, national park filming permits are insane. I can understand if it's a Hollywood production, but the fact they want a YouTuber to pay makes no sense. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I'd be more than willing to pay a permit if there were like another tier for YouTubers or something. Like I'll pay like $20 a day if you want me to. I mean, even then it's a lot for most people who are like putting stuff on YouTube. I do sometimes feel like they come after ours more than, I don't know if this is actually true, but I do feel like they come after us like, well, hold on, let me rephrase that, because they haven't come after us before, but the times where we have had to have a discussion about it, and they all got resolved. It was no problem. But I just couldn't help but shake the feeling that it's because our show looks like an actual TV show that like I think they assume that we have a bigger crew or like more equipment with us, when in reality it's just like, again, us four and a tripod, and that's about it. Plumpkin Plump says, hello, I was going to ask about PCT or AT, but it seems like that's been addressed with the JMT question. Yeah, and you know, one thing I will say about that is, as a kid, or rather as like a college kid, I always wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail. But now I just feel like, I don't know if I would have that in me, but I would still love to go back to the Smokies and do a solo trip there and just like really challenge myself. I mean, every time I'm actually hiking uphill, I'm like, I don't want to do this alone. But there is something to be said about going through a challenge and really experiencing that on the trail. If you want to do it for the views, you can easily do JMT in sections. Actually, a note on that too is we've been talking about doing a section on the Appalachian Trail. And I think it would be so cool to do a section that goes through a town. Like you start in the wilderness, hike through a town, then go back into the wilderness. But yeah, no concrete plans. Hello, Explore More Films, welcome. Nathan says, yeah, I've never felt remotely unsafe while backpacking. At least I've never felt danger from other people. Yeah. I feel like, so it's actually funny because on this last trip, we had an interaction where me and Robby were at the second campsite, and there was another campsite like way down the trail. And from what I could tell, it was like a couple of dudes and then like their kids, I think. And the bathroom, like the outhouse, was kind of close to our campsite. So they were like walking down the trail and going to use the outhouse with their kids. And we just said like, hey, how's it going? Because it was like dark out. And I feel like when I'm on the trail, I always want to be super like friendly, just so that people like know that, you know, we're nice people. There's nothing to be worried about. So we said hi, but they like didn't say anything back. And we thought it was kind of weird. And we weren't sure if they like didn't hear us. And then later, as we're like filming our food, one of the dudes came back and he was like, oh yeah, the kids like saw you had a fire. They just wanted to, like, we wanted to see that you had your tents up or something. I don't know. He said something that seemed like a little bit off and kind of weird. And I'm wondering if maybe he was just like, because he had his kids there, he was like being extra cautious and like wanted to make sure whoever else was nearby was safe. But I don't know. It was just kind of a weird interaction. And I feel like recently we've had more kind of weird interactions like that. Whereas like, I only have memories of people being super friendly, like when I first started backpacking. So I don't know what that's about, or if we're just like backpacking more often, so we just happen to notice it here and there and it sticks out in our mind. We've never really had any like bad interactions though. It's just that like we're all from the Midwest, so I feel like being like Canadian levels of polite is like what we're used to, and when that doesn't always happen, it's like kind of weird to us. But I mean, the other thing is like no one has an obligation to be nice to us, so it's no big deal. I still get a bit paranoid ranging alone. Yeah, bears are a little worrisome. Did you paint that yourself, the black and white painting behind you? I did not. I don't know where that's from actually, but yeah, it's actually a friend's, but it's like a calendar kind of thing. Boone says it's a painting of me. Any relation to Joe Krieger here in Las Vegas? Maybe, but not that I know of. S. Xiong says, will you guys take Thomas back to Japan? You know, yes, actually. I think that has to happen at some point. He's been talking a lot about how he wants to go there because he's actually never been there. And in general, I don't know, like, I feel like in American culture, like the influence of Japanese culture is just really prevalent, but I've also been thinking like it would be so fun to go back there. It's just like aesthetically, it feels like such a cool place. But I would also really, really love to go to Taiwan at some point because I've never been there and that's where my parents grew up. Yeah, and I feel like it'd be great to explore like the cultural side of it, but also just to see what there is to do there. Chris says you could do the Appalachian Trail in the Smokies backpacking trip. Yeah, actually, in our Smokies episode, I hiked a decent chunk of that. I mean, not like that much, but I think I did like 6 to 9 miles. I think I did 9 miles of the Appalachian Trail. Travel to Walk says, read the AT. The area about Harper's Ferry is nice. Oh, that's cool. That'd be really cool to check out. Everything about doing a video about the required planning prior to trip. Yeah, we've definitely thought about that. I feel like there was an idea to do a video about like common mistakes beginner backpackers make. Yeah, I don't know. We just haven't gotten around to it. We've done a gear video, but it's probably about time that we updated that too. Steven says, I think about the Blair Witch Project way too much when I hike alone. Yeah, totally. I remember I watched that like a few years back and it was very freaky. But I definitely do not want to watch that before a camping trip. The Allegheny episode had that Blair Witch moment, and yeah, I don't know. It's just like anything a little bit out of the ordinary can just like throw you off mentally if you're already in that mindset. Definitely a demon. It's Kitty says quarantine is making everyone socially inept. Yes, definitely. Steven says, lol, same. I usually throw music to calm my nerves. Actually, Kitty, I wonder if that is true. Like, I wonder if that is part of it. Because I do feel like sometimes I find myself like stumbling over my words just because I've been more or less a hermit for a lot of this. Adventure Archives, Canadian levels of politeness. Okay, I'm clearly behind on the chat a little. So Ruben Asco says, Robby still using the boots or has he officially joined the Trek and Shoe team? So I think he's joined the Trek and Shoe team. I was trying to remember what he wore this time around. And I can't remember, but it was either this or the last episode that he wore the trekking shoes. And he mentioned that he wore a hole into the sole of them. So they got wet pretty quickly. But yeah, I think I would love to join the Trek and Shoe team at some point. I still prefer the boots for the winter time because, like, especially this time around, the waterproofness of the boots really came in handy. But yeah, for summer hiking, like a lighter shoe definitely sounds really nice. Kevin says, I think once you dig in over in Japan, you can get past most of the American preconceptions pretty quickly and see some great new stuff there. Get those tan pants over there. Yeah. Well, I more mean like the influence of Japanese culture in America, as in like, I don't know. I just feel like Japanese anime and films and shows have a lot of influence these days. I mean, that also is like not a completely accurate picture, of course, but yeah, I don't know. It's just for some reason, like the aesthetic of like Tokyo was so appealing when we were there. But yeah. Lorenzo says, it's funny, I actually prefer to hike alone in camp, time to just decompress from everything. No, yeah, I totally see the appeal of that. And I feel like if it weren't for me having like a overactive imagination, I would probably prefer hiking alone too. I mean, like, I can day hike alone totally fine. It's just like getting to a campsite at night and then getting in a mindset where you're not thinking about that sort of thing. That's the challenge. Nathan says, I have not seen the Blair Witch Project and I refuse to watch it now that I'm really into backpacking. Yeah, don't watch it. I mean, like, I feel like that stuff will, I feel like that stuff will only linger in your mind for so long, but I don't know. It's not worth it. Not alone. I don't think it would bother me, but I don't want to risk it. My mind races way too much when I'm hiking alone. I'm fine until it gets dark. Yeah, I'm fine until it gets dark too. Megan says, as a woman who loves to hike alone, backpacking alone is still a bit freaky to me. I'm trying to force myself though because my friends are only occasional hikers. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a real thing. I know some people will carry like, I mean, usually we carry bear spray with us, so there's at least that. But yeah, it's definitely a real thing. I mean, again, I feel like most people you meet backpacking are going to be pretty cool, but you never know. Yeah, people used to say like Blair Witch Project and Exorcist weren't scary, but like I feel like they were incredibly scary. Samuel Yoder says, don't you want to try out your kung fu moves on the boogeyman? I was just thinking in my head, like, I've been taking some beginner stick fighting lessons, but I feel like that is actually kind of useful if you're backpacking. Like if you were to carry a hiking stick and you could just use that on someone trying to attack you, I feel like that is a decent skill to have. Stephen Warrington says, we moved to Virginia not long after that movie came out. That didn't help. Yeah, that's not good. Same, once I get around the fire, I just want to talk and fart around. If I'm alone, I just start mind wandering into the depths of the noises I hear. Yeah, well, so I've talked about this before, I think, but there's a channel called Rewild University on YouTube, and the dude on that channel is awesome. But he actually has a class where he'll like take you out at night, and you just learn all the different sounds, and you learn to really just like be at peace at nighttime. And that's something I would love to do someday. But yeah, because I feel like you do hear a lot of weird noises, but they all have a logical explanation. It's usually just some sort of like weird animal or bird or something. I saw Blair Witch the day it came out in theaters. Next day, flew to Seattle and was camping in the mountains that night. Didn't sleep real well. Yeah, that's rough. I'm trying to think. It's funny because I haven't had to sleep out alone in a while. Like even when I did my solo trip in the Smokies a while back, there were usually other campers in the area around me. So Robby had a great quote about fear and living. Don't remember the episodes, so now I have to watch them all again. Real talk, I sleep with the nightlight when I camp alone. It helps. That is true. That would probably help. I definitely missed Andrew's response to the permit for filming in national parks, but couldn't you get an educational permit for places like Yellowstone? I'm not sure. I thought we would. I think we would need a commercial filming permit, which is super expensive. I feel like we've looked into that, and I don't know if it counted or not. Yeah, I don't know. One day we'll figure that sort of thing out. I'm actually kind of relieved though that we did Yellowstone and Yosemite early on because one, they helped our channel grow a lot, but two, like it was early enough that we didn't really have to worry about it that much. What do you guys do to pass the time during long nights while hiking? Seems like it would be a struggle to kill 3 to 4 hours from sundown until it's time to go to sleep. So usually actually because of filming, we actually usually get to our campsite when it's already nighttime. Or when it's close to nighttime. So there's plenty of time taken up like filming us making a fire or cooking food or stuff. And then usually we'll just like sit around and chat. There have been times where we get to a campsite pretty early and we have a lot of time. But it's actually like, it's a really nice change of pace because I don't know. I feel like I really enjoy just like sitting and doing nothing when I'm like, it still feels fulfilling to me. So it's kind of nice to not have to worry what are we going to film next? So yeah, I guess we just kind of like exist. I used to keep a journal. I recently stopped doing this because it started feeling more like work than something that was fun. But I used to keep a journal for like every camping trip I'd ever been on. So that's another thing you could do. Or you could just read. Like that's another good option. I feel like being in the wilderness and having time to kill is a good time to like develop these habits that are hard to develop in civilization. Like I have trouble just sitting down and reading sometimes because I'm kind of ADD. But I feel like being out there helps you focus and stuff. Any new gear you're trying out or waiting to try? Well, let's see. I have my summer bag, which I tried in one of the trips, but I haven't really taken it on like a more rugged backpacking trip. The new knife, of course, as mentioned earlier. Oh, yes, I did get a new raincoat recently. A new REI raincoat, which I'll show in a second. Kaylin Brown, welcome. Thank you for joining. Unfortunately, the stream is on the later end of it, but thank you for joining. I'm not going to stop you from watching all of them, but Bruce has a lot of quotes in AA Wiki. Oh, yeah, the AA Wiki. Kevin says, jumping off nighttime sounds, do you think your trajectory is continuing the easygoing approach to the outdoors, or will you go after the training and get more hardcore? I would love to get more hardcore in my wilderness survival training. So in 2019, I took a weekend course, and I actually wanted to take the week-long version of that course, but the reason I didn't do it is because literally right after that, I would have been gone in New York for a whole week, and I had some things back home that I just like I couldn't miss 2 whole weeks in a row for that. 2020, I was planning on doing some survival classes, but you know, all of this happened. Which I guess like a survival wilderness course is not the worst thing you could do during this, but yeah, I would definitely love to get more formal education in that. Yeah, they shouldn't. Yeah, they shouldn't charge anything. And I mean, even if it is monetized, it should definitely be a much lower fee than like what they do for Hollywood. Anna Eaton says, "How many ticks do you find on yourself after hiking in Wayne or Zaleski?" Not that many actually. I think I don't know what particular trips, but oh, actually, after the Land Between the Lakes trip, I think Robby found a tick on him. But yeah, usually we don't find that many ticks, believe it or not. I will say in Land Between the Lakes, we did like I remember waking up and there was a tent or a tick on the outside of my tent. So yeah, that trip I feel like there was more ticks than usual. But yeah, I mean, I think like if you're worried about ticks, bring some good bug spray. You can also buy, what is it, permethrin? Is that how you say it? The stuff that you wash with your clothes to make it a little tick repellent. But I think the main thing is like just hike with your socks over your pants. Like wear long pants and hike with your socks over them. I feel like that's the best way to prevent ticks. Obviously, they can get in other parts, but I feel like that's the main way they get onto you. Stare at the sky and/or fire for 3 hours. That is true. The ticks will go for them first. I also fill my time cooking. Yeah, that's true. Also, sometimes it's fun to just like wander around the general area your campsite is at. You know, depending on where you are, there might be more or less room to wander, but in a place like Dolly Sods, for example, like where it's nice and open, that's a fun thing to do. Also nice. I've had to provide them medical parental obligation. You did a daily survival class with COVID. We all did. Oh, yeah, that's true. It's not quite the same, but it's kind of like the Les Stroud COVID survival thing that he put up. Speaking of Les Stroud, he put up some Beyond Survival episodes on YouTube recently, and that's like a really good show. And actually, the intro of that show, Beyond Survival, is kind of what inspired the style of the intro of Adventure Archives. It's like paint splatters on a white background, kind of. Anna, we do use chemicals sometimes, so it depends. Like we actually don't use bug spray a whole lot, but if it's like in the warmer season and we're in a place that is especially like thick and overgrown, we'll use some bug spray with DEET in it. You can also try using more organic repellents. I just feel like when we're in a really rough overgrown place and I'm really worried about them, I rely on the stuff with the DEET in it. But I do think like making sure your ankles are covered up and stuff is one of the better ways to do it. Boone says, I walked through a nest of ticks last time I went camping in the summer. It was terrifying. That sounds horrible. What does a nest of ticks even look like? I've heard in South America, in some places in the jungle, they have like tick bombs where there's just like balls of ticks or something. Sounds horrible. Anyone who hasn't started using permethrin in moderate or heavy bug areas is missing out. That stuff is amazing. That's good to know, because I actually don't think I've been using it. I have like a tick repellent shirt with some of it in it already, but I need to favorite this AA lore thing. I don't think I... Let's see. Ever think of a trip to Rowan Highlands? Yes. It's another wide open spot like Dolly Sods or Grayson Highlands. Yeah, people have definitely recommended that a lot. I would love to go in the springtime or summer actually, because I want to go when like the grass is really green and stuff, because it just looks beautiful. It was like a ball of them, hundreds. Ugh. Was it like on a tree or something? Like, and what did you do? Did you just like spray yourself a ton? You just like self-immolate immediately. I just bought Permethrin from REI, enough to treat 6 outfits for my family. That's good to know. I feel like it lasts for more than one wash, but I don't know if that's actually true or not. Do you worry about ticks when you are sleeping under a tarp? A little bit. And what I usually do, like, so in the Big South Fork episode, you'll see that I sweep away the leaves for that very reason. And it's funny because when I first started doing Adventure Archives, I like might know if it was better to sweep the leaves away or not, because like part of me was like, well, there's like extra leaves, kind of cold out, there can be ticks in the leaf litter. So yeah, I usually take a nice stick and I just sweep away all the leaves until it's like down to the bare earth. And at that point, I'm not too worried about it because, like, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna like go out of the way to crawl onto me. I might be wrong, but we do need a website. We just kind of use our Facebook page for that, though. Although we've gotten really bad about responding to messages and comments, but you know, what can you do? You guys should go to Germantown Metro Park. It's funny you say that. We've been there, and we actually specifically went there without filming, because this was after the road trip we did in 2018, and we were like, we have to remember that we actually enjoy each other's company. So we got rid of like the stress of filming it, but I do want to go back there because there's the one problem is like you can't have a campfire. I mean, that's fine, but it's like we'll have to think of other interesting things to do. But I do feel like the actual landscape is kind of interesting because there's parts that like go right next to a nature center. There's like that one part that's like a dam. And I remember when we were there, we went to some breakfast place that was like incredible. It was really good. Black Forest Trail in Pennsylvania looks great. Just flick them off in a fury. Man, I would have taken some bug spray and just like sprayed it for a whole minute. It lasts for 6 washes or 6 months, whichever is first. That's good enough. You're right, it lasts a long time. For ticks under a tarp, treating your sleeping bag is a good idea. Oh, that's a great idea, actually, yeah. I should really do that. Because I also like never wash my sleeping bag, so I wouldn't have to worry about it wearing off for a while. My husband says he approves of the Toshiro Mifune from Seven Samurai look. Thank you. That is like such a high compliment, and I truly appreciate that. Boone says, I don't know, Andrew, if I was a tick, I would take a bite for sure. Well, thank you. I also appreciate that. I will assume that that is a compliment. We need an Andrew Cobra Kai sweep the leaves graphic / shirt now. Ooh, that's a great idea. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Same. I sent Robby maps of them and Twin Creek. Good to know. Yeah, I do want to go back there and film an episode. Actually, I think a good time to do that would either be in the spring or in like peak fall colors, because that's the one advantage of Metro Parks. I feel like, one, it's close enough that if it's like peak colors in Columbus, it's probably more or less peak colors there. But also it's just like, it's easier to get to, and the weather's going to be more or less the same. But yeah. Yeah, so I guess on that note, it's been over an hour. I think I'm probably going to end the stream, but before I do that, I'm going to show you some nunchuck stuff. I'm not great at using nunchucks, but I mean, I've just been trying to learn how to twirl them for fun. But it's kind of interesting because I've been doing like stick fighting. Again, I'm an amateur, but the footwork for sticks is kind of, I feel like it works really well for nunchucks. So for sticks, you kind of go like that. I'm trying to be careful not to like hit anything. And if you use nunchucks, you kind of do the same thing. I'm going to go slowly because sometimes this foam part flies off and I don't want to like hit my computer. But if you're actually using nunchucks as a weapon, the idea is you like swing it and then you can catch it here and just like swing it like a flail, basically. But I've been trying to learn how to do it like Bruce Lee style. So like, hold on. Let me get into the groove. Damn it. The left side is always hard because I'm not as dominant on the left side. And the key that I've noticed is when you swing it back here, if you don't catch it, you can just swing it to the front so that you can kind of keep a flow going and it doesn't look like you've messed up. Oh, something just fell out of here. But, oh well. See, this foam thing fell off. These are kind of cheap nunchucks, but they're really fun to play with and practice on. So anyway. And actually, I've been thinking with my personal channel, which I've been neglecting for months, I kind of want to, I don't think I like doing vlogs. I mean, I might do them occasionally, but I think I kind of want to just do like dumb little skits and videos. So I might try and do some sort of a dumb little martial arts video this weekend or something once I'm a little less busy. Boone, how do you not destroy yourself? Well, these are foam, so that's at least like part of it. When I first was doing it, I definitely like cut my hands a little bit or like bruised them a little bit, but it's actually not too bad. I don't know. The more you practice, the easier it is to do it so that you don't hit yourself. S. Sean says, looking good. I would accidentally smack myself in the face. It's funny because I never thought I would actually be like decent at twirling nunchucks, but it was actually pretty easy to pick up. It's kind of like when you learn how to like ride your bike or something. It's like you just do it enough in the first day and you kind of pick it up. Thank you, Boone. Thank you, thank you. I'm always injured. Yes to the skits and videos. Yeah, and actually, if any of you have ideas for my personal channel, I actually have like 2 podcasts that I have been sitting in the pipe that I need to put up. And there's just some things I wanted to cut out because I don't think I want certain things like to be aired. So I got to edit one of them at least, but hopefully I will have 2 podcasts up at some point. You could become the Patrick H. Willems of Kung Fu films. Who is that? Yeah, I figured it was a YouTuber. I'll have to check that channel out. It's loading right now, but because I didn't realize that you would have a personal channel as well. Need to find that. I will post my personal channel in a second. Oh, Patrick H. Willems. I've definitely seen this guy. Yeah, I think that's the thing is like I think I realized that I don't know that I like doing vlogs. I kind of sometimes I feel a little like pretentious or presumptuous vlog. And I also have been really wanting to like do more edited videos. Like I really want to do some scripted martial arts choreography stuff. Not that I'm at all qualified to do that, but make all these little action videos back in the day. And it was really fun. Do I not have a custom URL? I thought I did. Sorry, one sec. Anyway, I'll just post this URL in the chat, but I thought I had a custom URL. Yeah, more creative type stuff. Boone, my channel is called, well, it's just called Andrew Lin, I guess. I thought I had like a specific URL. Oh, okay, yeah, it's Andrew Lin Archives. So, but yeah, my account is just Andrew Lin. Okay, so I think that will be it for tonight, but thank you everyone for joining. And we will probably resume the normal weekly updates. Although now that the episode is done, I feel like I'm gonna have to think of stuff to actually put in the updates. I will try to actually start editing a lot of these other side videos I've been sitting on as well. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining though. This was fun. And I will see you all later. Will do, Nathan, will do. Bye, Marie. Bye, Kevin. Bye, Stephen. Bye, S. Xiong, Travel to Walk, Kitty, Kaylin. See you, everybody.